Okay, so everyone should be able to hear me now. Oh, hold on, my camera's off too. Hold on one sec. Okay. So adaptive test prep. So everyone can hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thanks. All right, adaptive test prep lets you create as many, well, up to as many questions as you want to. We also pull the questions from here. So again, this is really a good place to start. You also have what I like in here. You also have access to, let's scroll down to the bottom here, the flashcards. Don't forget, this is an introductory class, so a good bit of the questions that are going to come on the test are simply going to be questions that are definitional, right? So you have these. You can also create your own card. For example, make sure you know the difference between a change in demand. A change in demand is going to be caused by one of the changes in the determinants. All right, sorry. DETERM of demand, which would be, for example, like a change in income, change in wealth, change in expectations, change in taste and preferences. Those are all going to cause the curve to shift. All right. Unlike a change in quantity demanded, that's a change in demand. Let's say we're going to create a new card. A change in quantity demanded, I'm just going to put QD, which is going to be caused by a change in the price and will be recognized by a movement along the curve. All right, so a movement along the curve is a change in quantity demanded. An actual shift of the curve is going to be change in demand. Make sure you know the difference between the two of them. It's basically a vocabulary word, but it's a really important concept because later on when we start saying a change in demand, I want you to recognize that the curve is actually shifting as opposed to moving along the curve. All right, so you have adaptive test prep, you have the highlighters, etc. These are basically, so right there, I've given you 3 different tools to study for the exam. In addition to those, also sent out inside of Applia, I believe I also sent out an email link, or not even an email link, but like a YouTube link for a review. And I thought about playing it in here only because I think it's that important. And so I might end the session with actually playing it. It's exam for review 1. Please watch these videos to see how to find practice questions for exam 1. And then there's the YouTube video. Also, Khan Academy has plenty of videos. So if you did the homework on PPF curves and you're still not quite sure about PPF curves, go to Khan Academy, microeconomics or macroeconomics, and look up that specific topic, and it'll walk through the video. Also, guys, don't forget, inside of Applia, which is where you really should be using, especially for my online people, you have plenty of videos in the book and problem walkthroughs. When you come through your book, and I come in here and I do this format here, in each section, you have all these walkthroughs, video questions, and problems. All right, so if you did not get comparative advantage, come here and watch a video on comparative advantage. And for me, I always like to call comparative advantage comparative lower opportunity cost advantage. All right, let me go ahead and unmute. Does anyone have any questions so far? Do I have me unmute? Right. Anyone have any questions about where to find anything? Anyone have any questions about the exam or the format of the exam? Okay, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and start doing the review then. Right, for exam 1, it's going to cover topics from chapter 1. Make sure you know the difference between a normative statement and a positive statement. For a positive statement, I like to think of it is a statement of fact that can be checked. Normative statement, think of it like it is normal to judge someone. For example, a normative statement would be something like, the U.S. government should provide health care to people, or we should make parking free for UHD students. Know the difference between macro and micro? When we're talking about micro and macro, micro topics are going to be looking at just individuals and firms' decisions. Macro is going to cover things such as domestic product, unemployment on the whole, larger topics. So micro is the trees, macro is the forest. Another topic that is listed, I think in, if I'm correct, let me see, go back to, I think I had a study guide for chapter 1. Hold on. All right, share screen. Don't forget, you also have, FYI, I think we mentioned this again, free online tutoring through Smart Thinking. There should be so if you are studying at night tonight or between now and Friday, you can get online between between 2 p.m. and midnight and get live tutoring with someone. You'll go to this link here, use your email address, and the passcode is going to be Texas, and then you can change your passcode after that. I was hoping to find a study guide for chapter 1, just the topics. I'll use this one. All right. know good and bad, understand why we bother to even use rationing devices. In the United States, we use primarily price mechanism as a rationing device to determine who gets what because resources are scarce. Make sure you understand what resources are. That would be land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. You put these resources in a box called production, and they spit out basically a good or a service. Okay. All right, getting back to chapter 1. Scarcity, understand why scarcity is part of the science. Opportunity cost, know that you all have other things you could be doing right now, but instead you're choosing to be here, therefore you are giving up something else. Remember, opportunity cost is just what you give up or your next best alternative to when you're doing something. So it's not like a list of other things. Like I could be in the bathtub, I could be reading, I could be vacuuming. But right now I am doing this, but it would be my opportunity cost is what do I value the most of those? Make sure you understand marginal benefit, marginal cost. Marginal benefit means I'm getting an additional benefit from doing 1 more hour of studying, for example. Marginal cost is I'm giving up that 1 hour. Think of it like this. If there were a machine, and you were to put $1 in the machine, that'd be your marginal cost, the dollar. And if it spits out $5, that would be your marginal benefit. Well, you keep doing something up until the point where the marginal benefit and the costs are equal. So I would put in $1 and it would spit out $1. At that point, I'll stop feeding the machine. So marginal benefit, marginal cost just means it's the additional benefit or cost you get from doing something else. We say that decisions are made on the margin. That just means that when I make a decision, you don't go back and look at the total cost of, if I'm trying to decide, should I continue another semester in college or to graduate? I do not go back and look at how much it's cost me up until this point to stay in college. Instead, I'm gonna look at next semester, what is my marginal cost of staying in 1 more semester? What's my marginal benefit, right? Because we say that anything prior to now is what we would call a sunk cost. With the PPF curve, and make sure you understand that points on the PPF curve are what we would label as being efficient. Efficiency means that you're using your land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship efficiently. Cerebus paribus, make sure that you understand what that means. And it's very important simply because when you are trying to create an experiment, you change one thing and then measure the effects. If you change 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and then go back and look at the outcomes, you can't say with 100% certainty, well, this was caused because of this one change. In reality, it's very hard to create these science experiments, outside of a laboratory. And so that's why economists always talk about cerebus paribus and how important it is. In order to make these predictions or these models, and all a model is it's a graph. That's it. Economics is the study of scarcity, which is why people make choices. All of you already know this stuff. All we're doing is taking what you know as common sense and putting it in a graph and saying, hey, there's this thing called scarcity, and one way to represent scarcity is let's draw a PPF curve, right? When I draw a PPF curve, I can show everyone that, look, this line right here lets me know that you can't have as much as everything that you want because you are limited by what you can achieve with your land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. All right, we talked about positive and normative statements, micro, macro. Make sure you understand the positive and negative relationship between variables on a graph. Upward sloping would be a positive, meaning that as X increases, Y increases. All right, chapter 2, production possibility frontier framework. Make sure you know this. The key is, if you don't mind, let me go ahead and new share. All right. Here's a PPF curve. PPF curve can either be increasing opportunity cost, which means that the curve, it's more of a curve, or it can be constant opportunity cost, which would be a straight line. That would be a straight line. All right. Increasing opportunity cost or constant opportunity cost. Constant opportunity cost means you're giving up the same amount. And it's sort of hard for me to show you on this diagram, and that you can see it in the video that I sent out, the AC/DC learning. In it, he'll talk specifically about why this is increasing opportunity costs. And this is a straight line, meaning constant. On this one, it means that for every one additional x you give up, you're giving up the same value of y because the slope is the same. Here, the slope is different. It just depends on where you are on the graph. Increasing opportunity cost means the more that you produce something or a good, the more you have to give up to get the same amount. Or the example that was used in one of the videos was that low-hanging fruit. If I'm collecting low-hanging fruit, of course it's not going to cost me a lot to pick it off the ground or grab the pieces that are hanging. But as I pick more and more of the easy fruit and I try to get to collecting, let's say I can collect 5 bushels of apples and I want to get to 10. As I'm collecting more and more, eventually I'm going to have to get to the higher fruit, and that's going to cost me more time, either in time or in money. I might have to invest in capital, which would be something like a ladder. Make sure you understand, FYI, that capital is never, ever, ever money. All right, so then I'm going to put a dollar sign up here and a big X through it. So on the exam, if it asks you which one of these is capital, you're always looking for machinery and equipment. Land is obvious. Labor would be human people who are working. Entrepreneurship and human capital are pretty much all fall in the same line. All right, let me just make sure. Do I have any questions as of yet? All right. Back to the list. So for PPF curve, okay. Know the straight line bowed out, PPF. Understand constant opportunity cost. Explain what causes increasing opportunity cost. I said that earlier about the low hanging fruit. The more you produce of a good, you're going to probably grab the best resources for it. All right, calculate opportunity cost of the PPF curve when moving from one point to another. So know that when I move from point A to B, I'm going to gain something or lose something. I do want to draw this out if you don't mind. Okay, if this is the PPF curve between two goods, remember with the PPF curve, I'm going to do increasing opportunity cost, or right, that's supposed to be increasing opportunity cost. Anything inside the PPF curve means it's inefficient. You are not producing as much as you could, right? If I'm here at this point here, and I want to move from there to here, right? To move from there to here, I would have this many units of this good, whatever this number happens to be. Let's say that good happens to be 5. I would have 5 units of good A, and then at this point I would have 5 units of good B, and at this point I have, let's say, 10 units of good B. All right, if you are operating inside your PPF curve, you're not using all of your resources, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship effectively. So if you move from this point to here, if you are inside the PPF curve and not operating at complete efficiency, you could move from this point to this point and gain an additional 5 units of good B without giving up anything. That's different than if I were at this point here, which we said was 5 of this and 10 of that, and move to, let's say, this point here, right? This point here is going to be, let's say that would be 9 units of good B, and it's going to be 6 units of good A. So if I want to get 1 more unit of good A, I'm going to have to give up 1 unit of good B, because here I had 5 units of A, 10 units of B. Here I have 6 units of A, only 9 units of B. So this point, moving from here to here, when you're on the curve, represents a trade-off. I'm gaining A, but I'm losing B. So that's PPF. The PPF curve can change. For example, if we got a better technology, or if we, let's see. All right, there you go. She knows it. If we got a better, let's say we found another way to, or fertilizer, right? Technology of fertilizer is going to move the PPF curve out to the right and shift it technology or increased productivity, or even immigration. More people move into a community or a country, then you can see a growth in their GDP. Increasing opportunity cost recovery, productive, efficient. You want to be efficient on the curve. Economic growth. An example of economic growth with the PPF curve is simply where you see the PPF curve going out. Right? When the PPF curve goes out little by little, that's representative of growth, pushing outwards. Things that are, right? For comparative advantage and absolute advantage, make sure you understand how to work one of those problems. The way to solve the problem is the very first thing you do, and when you're thinking of comparative advantage, I want you to call it comparative lower opportunity cost advantage. And there's a video that I sent out of me working a problem out, and I sent it out in announcements. Let me just confirm. But what you do, the very first thing you do is you're going to set the two endpoints equal to each other. You're going to solve for whatever the two goods are. Then, so you'll have hats in terms of tacos, tacos in terms of hats. You'll figure out who has the lower opportunity cost in each one, and whoever has the lowest opportunity cost has a comparative advantage. They should specialize in whatever that happens to be. When they specialize, because trade makes everyone better off, you can actually get outside of your PPF curve. There are several videos at the end of the chapter which walk through that. All right, I'm going to unmute you. I've just finished covering chapter 2. Does anyone have any questions about chapter 2? Or chapter 1? All right, Robin, done. Right? Chapter 3 and 4 go hand in hand. These two are just talking about supply and demand. Here's where I'm going to go ahead and play that video for you that I posted. One of my students had given me this video, and I thought it was a good video. Okay. This is a video I'm going to send out in the announcements. It's a 30-minute review video. I know a lot of you probably don't want to sit on here, but it kind of walks through every single thing that is all the topics that are covered in chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. The other video that I want you to see is in announcements as well, I think in your class. Under exam 1 review. Not sure which one it is, so let me just check. It's a 30-minute video too, I believe. All right. These videos are good because, as you can see over to the far right, he's made videos for every single concept you can think of. All right, so for this one here, wrong one. If we go to
Miss Edwards, we can't hear the man speaking.
All right, can you hear the video now?
It's really low.
Can y'all hear the video now?
We can hear it, but it's really low.
Hello?
That's really low.
Okay, I'm gonna pause that video. It's in there. I was just gonna play it only because I think it's a good video. And it covers everything in that we can go back and watch it. So did anyone have any questions about 1, 2, 3, and 4? Chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Any questions about any of the homework problems? All right, because I can't play that video in here and it recorded as well. I'll go ahead and let y'all hop off. Don't have any questions at all?
Can you please show where you could do test reviews? Or
Yep.
you should
All
do
right.
at the beginning?
Hold on 1 sec. Now my computer's frozen. Let me get rid of this. For some reason, I can't get this off my screen. So what I will do, let me do my stop there. What I'll do is I will post the recording, and like in the very beginning, it'll show you like the 3 different places to get reviews from.
That's the part that I was wondering about.
Oh, hold on 1 second. All right, what did you say?
At the beginning of the session, you showed us something in Applia, and we were able to maybe do a test review besides the chapter review that's given for the homework.
Uh-huh.
Could you show me again where that was in Applia?
Yeah, I can't seem to get this thing off my screen.
Okay.
So I'm going to post the video to YouTube and then send out a link to it and go back and watch it at the front.
Okay. That's
All
fine.
right, anybody else, any questions? Hold on. All right, here we go. So if you go to homework, Applia MindTap. Inside of Applia. Very bottom, this thing called adaptive test prep is the one I was talking about. So it's inside your homework,
Okay.
all the way to the bottom, adaptive test prep.
I have, I'm in there right now. I see the chapters. At the very bottom, I see Appendix D. Appendix D. I don't really see that one.
All right, so if you go to the bottom, can you see something called more?
Where it says more?
Yeah, click the more button. And do you see the A button at all?
And this is on the left hand side where the chapter reviews are.
Mine's on the right hand side.
Oh, it's on the right hand side. I'm sorry.
Do you see
Okay.
the screen?
Yeah, I see more, and then when this says notebook.
See this?
No, it's all black.
Adaptive test. So you are looking at my screen, correct?
I'm not looking. I have the dual screen right now set.
And you're looking at my screen.
1 second.
Uh-huh.
I'm on. I just see the names of the people that are logged in.
All right. Look at my screen.
Okay.
Are you looking at my screen?
Yes, I'm on your screen now.
All right. This thing down here, right here.
Oh, okay. I see
That's
what.
called adaptive test prep.
Oh, okay. I see
And
that.
when you click that, that'll take you to the window questions.
Okay. And that's what I needed.
Huh? Anybody
Okay,
else?
thank you
Any
very much.
questions? Oh, no problem. Guys, any questions? Anyone have any concerns? Anyone have any questions about the exam?
The questions, the study guides that you gave us.
And hold on, let me mute, and then I want you to unmute yourself, okay? Hold on. All right, go ahead, unmute yourself. You'll unmute yourself by coming in here and just clicking on the button.
Can you hear me now?
Hey.
The review tests that are in the module,
Uh-huh.
are any of those questions on the test?
I have no idea. I haven't taken the test.
Oh,
I'd be like, yeah, I don't know.
okay.
I think they're a good place to start.
Yeah, I did 1, 2, and 4. I still need to do 3.
Okay, and 3 is this the longer one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And if they're not, and they're obviously not verbatim, but in chapter 3, all we're talking about, there's a supply curve, there's a demand curve, there's an equilibrium. What moves the supply curve? Here, what moves the demand curve? So there's only so many ways to ask the same question over and over again. So if you get the concept, make sure when you're studying, you write down what the determinants of demand are, what the determinants of supply are. So basically, what moves the curves, and then work the problems out. And it's probably best if you write down on every single one. Like, for example, if it said milk, he was talking about milk. An article comes out about milk making you live longer. Write out, number 1, this will be a determinant of demand. Number 2, this will increase demand. And then number 3, move demand to the right. Then, actually draw it out. Make sure on the exam, guys, that you draw out every single picture. Because if you can graph these, you'll definitely make an A. And then you'll say, demand moves to the right. And then you'll look and say, well, what happened to the price compared to the old price? The price will increase and the quantity will increase also. And then move on to the next one.
Okay.
All right, anybody else? Any other questions?
And there are 50 questions total, right?
No, that thing I just pulled up right here, this is for something else.
Oh,
This
no,
is from
I'm
last
saying,
year.
yes, there should be 50 questions.
There's only 30 questions on the exam.
Oh, my God.
I'm pulling up something else. This is what I pulled up here. This is something old. It's not even for this class.
Oh, okay.
I just like it because it had some things on there I wanted to highlight. But not everything on there is going to be on the exam.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, guys, you can go ahead and log off. If you have any questions, don't forget, start with smart thinking. And smart thinking is in that announcements. If you get stuck on something or you say like, hey, can you give me a better example of what increasing opportunity cost is? I think it was called tutoring resources. Smart thinking, great place to start. They're up until midnight tonight. All right, feel free to hop off, guys. Good luck. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Night, night.